The traveler, 27-year-old David, had landed in Bangkok after a long flight from Australia. He was exhausted, carrying nothing but a backpack and his camera. He wasn't a paranormal enthusiast, wasn't a thrill seeker, just a regular tourist looking for cheap accommodation. It was close to midnight when he finally checked into the Surya Hotel, a narrow, aging building tucked away in one of Bangkok's side streets. The neon sign above the entrance flickered, buzzing faintly like an insect trapped in glass. Inside, the lobby was dimly lit, almost deserted. The receptionist, a thin, pale woman with tired eyes, handed David his key without much conversation. But before he turned away, she whispered something in Thai to the bellboy, who immediately looked at David, then back at her, then shook his head nervously. David didn't understand the language, but he recognized the look, hesitation. Something about his room number made the bellboy uneasy. Room 403. The elevator creaked and groaned as it pulled him up to the 4th floor. When the doors opened, a wave of humid air greeted him. The hallway was silent, except for the distant hum of an air conditioner. Room 403 was at the very end. The corridor lights flickered as he slid the key into the lock. Inside, the room looked ordinary enough. Cheap bed, small desk, a mirror above the dresser, and a bathroom with frosted glass doors. At first, everything seemed fine. He unpacked, took a quick shower, and collapsed into bed. But around 2 a.m., he was awoken by a knock. It wasn't at the door. It came from the walls. At first, David thought it was just another guest, but the knocking wasn't random, it was steady. 3 knocks, silence, then 3 more. He sat up in bed, listening. Then he noticed something else. The air felt colder, unnaturally so. His skin prickled, as if the temperature had dropped several degrees in seconds. That's when he grabbed his camera. David set his phone on the desk, angled toward the bathroom. If something strange was happening, he wanted proof. The footage begins quietly, showing the still room. For a while, nothing happens. But then, at 2:37 a.m., the bathroom door creaks open on its own. David freezes. He whispers to himself, "No way, no way." He approaches slowly, every instinct screaming at him not to. The camera captures him reaching for the light switch. The bathroom light flickers to life, revealing nothing. Empty tiles, dry sink, dry shower. But the sound of dripping water continues, echoing unnaturally. When David leans closer to the sink, the sound stops. He stares at it, confused. Then in the reflection of the mirror, something is wrong. His reflection blinks. 2 seconds after he does, David stumbles back, nearly dropping his phone. His reflection is delayed, mimicking him, but not in sync. He gasps, whispering, "Oh my God, oh my God," before slamming the bathroom door shut. The footage shakes as he packs up frantically. His breathing grows heavy. David couldn't stay in that room. He stuffed his belongings back into his backpack and ran out into the hallway. The lights above him buzzed and flickered as if reacting to his fear. But here's where the video gets even stranger. As he rushes past the other rooms, you can hear faint knocking from behind every single door. Some louder, some softer, but all in that same pattern. 3 knocks. Silence. 3 knocks again. He doesn't stop to check. He bolts down the stairwell, his footsteps echoing in the empty building. By the time he bursts into the lobby, the receptionist is gone. The desk is empty. David doesn't wait. He leaves the key on the counter and runs out into the humid Bangkok night. Later, David uploaded the footage online. The video quickly spread across forums, TikTok, and YouTube. Paranormal investigators debated its authenticity. Some said the delayed reflection could be a camera glitch, but the sound of knocking from the other rooms? That couldn't be explained so easily. Others dug into the hotel's history. According to locals, room 403 had a dark past. Years earlier, A woman had checked into the hotel alone and never checked out. She was later found in the bathroom of that very room. Some say she took her own life, others claim it was murder. But one detail remained consistent. Guests often reported strange noises, reflections moving oddly, and a suffocating sense of being watched. The Surya Hotel has since denied all claims, but travelers who've stayed there tell a different story. Many insist the fourth floor is cursed, and some even claim that the hotel deliberately rents out room 403 only to foreign tourists, visitors who won't know the local legends. As for David, he refused to ever return to Bangkok. In an interview months later, he admitted, "I thought I was just tired, jet-lagged, maybe imagining things. But when I saw that reflection, when I saw it lag behind me, I knew something was wrong. That wasn't me in the mirror." The video remains one of the most terrifying till date. It was July 2025, deep in the forests of Ontario, Canada. A group of teenagers had just arrived at Lake Haven Summer Camp, a place known for its crystal waters, pine-covered trails, and rustic cabins. Parents dropped their kids off with smiles, believing this was a safe escape into nature. A week of swimming, hiking, and stargazing. But what none of them knew was that the land carried a much darker reputation among locals. On their second night, the campers gathered around a crackling fire. Guitars strummed, laughter filled the air. The warm glow of flames painted their faces as they toasted marshmallows under the canopy of stars. It was the kind of perfect summer memory you'd expect. But one of the boys, Ethan, 16, had brought his phone to record. He wanted to capture the songs and laughter, something to post later. That phone would end up recording something far, far more disturbing. In the video, you can hear singing, a little off-key but cheerful. The camera swings clumsily, showing the group smiling, eating, joking. Then someone shouts, "Hey, who's that?" The camera jerks toward the tree line. At first you'd miss it, but if you pause, you'll notice it. A tall, shadowy figure leaning just beyond the firelight, half hidden among the trees. It doesn't move, it doesn't blink, it just watches. Some of the campers laugh nervously. They think it's one of the others trying to scare them. But then they count. Every camper is there. The laughter dies. The fire pops and crackles. And in the silence, the figure slips back into the darkness. That night, the counselors tried to calm the kids, insisting it was just their imagination. Maybe an animal, maybe a trick of the light. But the next day, whispers began spreading among the campers. A girl named Mia swore she saw the same figure while brushing her teeth at the cabin sink. It was standing across the lake, motionless, just watching. Another camper said he woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps circling the cabin. When he looked out, he saw nothing, but the crunching of pine needles went on and on. The counselors dismissed the stories. But the kids knew something was out there. Something was watching them. Locals had long spoken of a spirit called the Watcher of Algonquin. According to legend, it was once a man, an outcast who lived in the forest decades ago. He shunned human contact, preferring the company of the trees. When settlers arrived, they drove him from his land. Some say he died in the wilderness. Others claim he simply vanished. But every summer when campers fill the woods, the Watcher returns. He lingers at the tree line. He peers from behind branches. He waits for someone to stray too far from the group. The teenagers didn't know this legend, not until Ethan uploaded his clip to social media. Within hours, locals flooded the comments. "That's him! The Watcher!" 2 nights later, the group tried to move on. They gathered by the lake for a late-night swim, hoping laughter would wash away their fears. the moon reflected on the still surface of the water. The air was thick with summer humidity. And then, someone screamed. Mia pointed across the lake. In the distance on the opposite shore, the same tall figure stood. The moonlight outlined its shape clearly now. Too tall to be normal, shoulders too broad, and worst of all, two glowing, pale eyes reflecting back across the water. The kids panicked. Some ran back toward the cabins. Others froze, staring in disbelief. Ethan raised his phone again, capturing shaky footage of the figure. And then, it moved. Not slowly, not like a person. It darted between the trees with unnatural speed, as though it wasn't running on the ground but gliding through the air. That night was chaos. Some campers cried, others begged the counselors to call their parents. But the staff insisted nothing was wrong, that they were just feeding into each other's fears. The kids locked themselves in their cabins anyway, pushing furniture against the doors. The counselors patrolled outside, flashlights sweeping the trees. For hours, nothing happened. Until around 3 a.m., Ethan's camera, set on his bunk to record just in case, picked up faint scratching at the window. The footage shows a pale hand, long-fingered, pressing against the glass. The campers inside whisper in terror, too afraid to move. Then slowly the hand slides downward, leaving streaks on the glass, before disappearing into the night. By morning, one of the boys, Daniel, was gone. His bed was empty, his belongings untouched. The counselors claimed he must have wandered off, maybe trying to call home. Search parties were formed, police were called, but Daniel was never found. The only clue, a set of footprints leading from the cabin door into the forest. Long, dragging footprints as if someone had been pulled. Ethan's final video was uploaded days later, after the camp was shut down. It shows the group leaving in buses, faces pale, silent, traumatized. It was the middle of July 2025 in Houston, Texas. The summer heat clung to the air even after midnight, wrapping the city in heavy, suffocating warmth. For 34-year-old Marcus, it was just another late night at the office. He worked as a data analyst for a logistics company, long hours, endless spreadsheets. By the time he finally shut down his computer, the building was nearly empty. Only the faint hum of fluorescent lights and the buzzing of the vending machine kept him company. He stepped outside into the deserted parking lot, exhausted, craving nothing more than his bed and a cold shower. But what awaited him in that lot was something no amount of exhaustion could explain. The parking lot stretched wide and quiet, illuminated by a handful of flickering street lamps. Dozens of cars sat in neat rows, their metallic bodies reflecting pale moonlight. Marcus walked toward his sedan, his briefcase slung over his shoulder, tie loosened, shirt sticking to his back from the humidity. That's when it happened. Without warning, every car alarm in the lot went off. The shrill chorus of honking, blaring sirens and flashing lights erupted at once, shattering the silence of the night. Every car, except Marcus's. His remained still, dark, untouched. He froze, staring around in shock. What the hell? At first, he thought it was some kind of glitch, maybe interference from nearby construction. But then, his gut told him otherwise. Something wasn't right. Instinctively, Marcus pulled out his phone and began recording. The shaky footage shows him panning across the lot, capturing the chaos of alarms echoing in the night. And then, something moves. A shadow darts across the far end of the lot, too fast to be a person, too shapeless to be an animal. It streaks across the frame like a smudge of darkness, almost as though the camera itself is struggling to focus on it. Marcus gasps. "Did you see that? What was that?" He approaches his car cautiously, trying to convince himself it's nothing. Maybe a cat, maybe his imagination. But the alarms continue blaring, relentless, deafening. and then his car door unlocks by itself. The click of the lock echoes unnaturally loud in the chaos. Marcus freezes, staring at his sedan in disbelief. Slowly, the driver's side door creaks open, swinging wide as though inviting him inside. Marcus whispers to his phone, "I didn't touch it. I swear I didn't touch it." He edges closer, his flashlight trembling as he raises it toward the car. Inside, everything looks normal at first. Empty seats, nothing unusual. But then the camera catches something impossible. The driver's seatbelt begins to move. It pulls forward, stretching as though someone invisible is sitting down. Then it retracts, tightening into place, as if buckling in a passenger. Marcus's breathing quickens. He mutters, "No, no, no, no." Suddenly, his phone slips in his sweaty grip and clatters to the ground. The footage shakes violently, capturing nothing but the spinning view of asphalt, headlights, and Marcus's panicked footsteps as he bolts away. Marcus didn't look back. He sprinted across the lot, his heart pounding, lungs burning in the heavy night air. Behind him, the alarms abruptly stopped, cutting off in eerie unison, leaving the lot in silence once again. But before the footage ends, the phone captures one final moment. His car alarm goes off. Not blaring, not in chaos, just a single, drawn-out honk echoing across the empty lot like a scream. And then, silence. The next day, Marcus returned with coworkers to retrieve his phone. He found it lying exactly where he dropped it, screen cracked, but still recording when the battery died. He refused to drive his car again. He sold it within a week, claiming it was cursed. The video he posted online quickly spread, sparking endless debates. Some said it was just a hoax, remote, unlocked features, a staged prank. Others weren't so sure. Paranormal investigators pointed out details: the synchronized alarms, the shifting shadow, the unnatural seatbelt movement. Too many coincidences to dismiss. Some theorized that the lot was built over old land, maybe a burial site, maybe the grounds of an abandoned hospital once demolished. Others claimed the building Marcus worked in was known for strange activity, employees whispering about footsteps in empty hallways, lights flickering for no reason. But the most unsettling theory came from a local ghost hunter who studied the footage frame by frame. He claimed to see a faint outline in the driver's seat, long limbs, hollow eyes, a skeletal figure barely visible, buckled in as though ready for a ride. He called it the hitchhiker spirit. Marcus's final words. Months later, Marcus gave an interview. His voice trembled as he recounted the night. It wasn't just fear, it was presence. Like something was right there beside me in my car. I could feel it waiting. I knew if I got in, I wouldn't be driving home. Something else would. 4 friends, Lucas, Sophia, Miguel, and Andrea, ran a small YouTube channel dedicated to exploring abandoned places, old factories, forgotten tunnels, crumbling asylums. They believed the camera gave them courage, that if they documented everything, nothing could truly hurt them. But on this particular trip, they found a house that locals avoided at all costs. It sat on the outskirts of Lisbon, swallowed by ivy and weeds, shutters hanging loose, its roof half collapsed. To neighbors, it was just another ruin. But to those who whispered about it, it was cursed. They called it Casa dos Lamentos, the House of Laments. According to local legend, the farmhouse had stood empty since the 1970s. Its owners, a young family, had vanished overnight. Some claim the father murdered them before disappearing himself. Others believed the family simply abandoned the house, unable to bear the strange whispers that came at night. Neighbors swore they heard crying from inside. A child's sobs. The sound of toys moving on their own. Of course, the explorers didn't believe in legends. To them, it was perfect content. Four friends versus the haunted house, Lucas said, holding the camera high with a grin. Let's see if the ghost stories are real. The live stream began. Thousands tuned in. And what those viewers witnessed that night would follow them for years. The explorers stepped through the broken front door, their flashlights slicing through darkness. Dust hung in the air like fog. The smell was damp, rotten, a mixture of mold and something else, something metallic. Their laughter echoed nervously as they moved room to room. Broken furniture, shattered glass, graffiti, all the hallmarks of an abandoned building. But then they entered what appeared to be a child's bedroom. Old wallpaper peeled from the walls, bright colors once depicting animals and balloons, now faded into ghostly shadows. Toys lay scattered across the floor, dolls missing eyes, a rusted tin car, a stuffed bear torn at the seams. In the center stood a wooden rocking horse, and though no one touched it, though no breeze stirred the air, it began to rock, slowly, creaking forward, then back, forward, then back. The chat on their live stream exploded. Did you see that? The horse is moving. Get out now. Sophia laughed nervously, whispering, "It's just tilted. Gravity, right?" But her voice shook. Lucas moved the camera across the room, showing every corner. And that's when the viewers noticed it first. The bed in the corner wasn't empty anymore. When they had entered, the blanket was flat, dusty, untouched for decades. But now, there was a shape beneath it. A small, human-like shape. The outline of a body lying perfectly still. The explorers froze. Miguel whispered, "There's someone here." Lucas stammered, No, that wasn't there before." Sophia stepped closer, against every instinct. "Hello? Is someone here? Do you need help?" No response. The blanket didn't move. The outline remained. And then, just as she reached toward it, the rocking horse stopped. Suddenly, a faint sound filled the room. A child's giggle. Not from the bed, not from the hallway, but from inside the room with them. Andrea screamed, clutching Lucas's arm. The camera swung wildly, catching glimpses of dust, shadows, frantic faces. The bed was empty again. The outline gone. The blanket flat. But the laughter continued, soft, echoing from every corner. Viewers in the live stream chat begged them to leave. "Run! Run!" But curiosity kept them frozen. And that's when the door slammed shut. The explorers rushed to the door, pulling at the knob, slamming their shoulders against the wood. It wouldn't budge. The laughter grew louder, now accompanied by whispers. Dozens of voices, layered, overlapping, speaking in Portuguese, though none of the friends could understand the words. The rocking horse began to move again, violent this time, slamming back and forth. The dolls on the floor rattled. One rolled its head toward the camera, its eyeless sockets staring. The chat went insane. Thousands watching in real time typed desperate warnings. Miguel shouted, "Turn it off! End the stream." But Lucas refused. "No, if something happens, people need to see it." The camera caught everything. Finally, with a deafening crack, the bedroom door burst open on its own. The explorers didn't hesitate. They bolted through the hallway, stumbling over broken boards, their flashlights swinging wildly. As they ran, the house seemed to come alive. Doors slammed behind them, windows rattled violently. From the walls came pounding as though dozens of fists were beating from inside. And then, just as they reached the front door, Lucas swung the camera back one last time. The live stream froze for a moment, static flickering across the screen. But in that frozen frame, viewers saw something the explorers never did. A figure standing in the bedroom doorway. A child, pale, hollow-eyed, smiling. The stream ended abruptly, cutting off as they sprinted outside into the humid night. They returned to Lisbon shaken, pale, unable to explain what had happened. Lucas uploaded the saved footage, but within days, he took it down. He claimed the video brought nightmares, whispers in his sleep, shadows moving in his apartment. But copies of the live stream still circulate online. Paranormal forums dissect every second. Some believe the explorers captured undeniable proof of a haunting. Others say it was staged, pointing to cheap tricks and special effects. But there's one detail skeptics can't explain. When slowed down, the audio reveals a voice layered beneath the laughter. A child's whisper, clear as day. Stay with us. The House of Laments remains abandoned. Locals refuse to go near it. Even urban explorers steer clear, warning others online not to repeat Lucas and his friend's mistake. But if you ever find yourself wandering the outskirts of Lisbon and you stumble upon an ivy-covered farmhouse, don't go inside, because somewhere in the dark, a child is still waiting to play. This is one of those stories. It happened in the summer of 2025, and it was caught on camera. The video first surfaced on TikTok, of all places, posted by a young Japanese woman named Aiko Tanaka, a university student in Tokyo. Her caption was simple: "This is why I don't take the last train anymore. Watch until the end." The clip was short, less than a minute, but in that minute, it managed to terrify millions. It showed the inside of a nearly empty subway car on the Tokyo Metro Hanzomon line, heading toward Shibuya. The timestamp on her phone read 12:42 a.m., dangerously close to the last train of the night. At first, it seemed normal. The low hum of the train, the overhead fluorescent lights casting their cold glow. Aiko was sitting at one end, filming casually, as if to show just how empty the car was. But then, about halfway down the car, you could see a figure, a man in a dark business suit, standing perfectly still, facing away from the camera. At first, that wasn't strange. Salarymen falling asleep or standing in odd positions on late-night trains are a dime a dozen in Tokyo. But this man was wrong. His suit looked old, out of place, almost like something from the 1980s, with wide lapels and a slightly baggy cut. His hair, too, slicked back with an unnatural shine, stiff like it hadn't been touched in decades. As the camera zoomed in, the man tilted his head slightly, but not like a person does. The movement was too sharp, too deliberate, like a puppet's head being yanked by invisible strings. And then Aiko whispered something. The mic picked it up faintly. "Why is he not moving?" The man's body remained rigid, but his head turned, just enough so that half his face came into view. And that's when you saw it. His mouth was stretched impossibly wide, pulled into a grotesque grin that cut across his cheek. The lips didn't move, the eyes didn't blink. And then before the clip cut off, the train lights flickered for just a second. And in that second, the man wasn't standing at the far end anymore. He was 2 rows closer. The screen went black. The video ended. People went insane. Comments flooded in from around the world. "This is the creepiest thing I've ever seen." Pause at 0:23. You can see his reflection doesn't match his body. Urban legend confirmed. This is the subway ghost of Shibuya. Within 48 hours, the video had racked up 12 million views. News outlets picked it up. Paranormal investigators began dissecting every frame, and countless TikTok users started riding the last trains themselves, hoping to capture their own ghost footage. But most chilling of all, Aiko herself never posted again. Her account was deleted within days. Some said she was just overwhelmed by the attention. Others whispered a darker theory, that she hadn't just filmed the ghost, that she had taken the wrong train home that night, that she never made it back at all. To understand why the video shook Tokyo so much, you have to know the legend. They call him the Shibuya Salaryman. The story goes that in the 1980s, a young businessman named Kenji Sato worked himself to death, literally. He had been a rising star at a major Tokyo corporation, working brutal hours, sometimes sleeping in the office, fueled only by cigarettes and vending machine coffee. One night, after missing his last train home, Kenji reportedly threw himself onto the tracks at Shibuya Station. His death was recorded as a suicide, one of many in a city where overwork is an epidemic. But here's where it gets creepy. Since then, passengers on the late-night trains near Shibuya have reported seeing him. Always the same description: a man in a dark, outdated suit, hair slicked back, a smile far too wide. Some say he asks riders if they're going home. If you answer him, he follows you off the train, and you're never seen again. Others claim he doesn't speak at all. He just stares, his grin stretching wider until the lights flicker, and he's suddenly closer. 2 weeks after Aiko's video, a new clip surfaced. This one from a security camera at Nogizaka Station, not far from Shibuya. The footage, time-stamped 1:03 a.m., showed a nearly empty platform. Only one passenger stood waiting, a man in his 30s scrolling on his phone. But in the reflection of the glass behind him, you could see it. That same grinning face, pressed against the glass, watching. The passenger never reacted. He boarded the train and disappeared into the tunnels. The camera caught one last thing. After the train left, the reflection in the glass stayed, still grinning, still watching.